Hello again, Conte. I wasn't initially going to upload this. Like, I wasn't truly happy with this run, to be honest with you. Charge Blade is definitely my least favorite matchup for Fatalis. There's a lot of trading and a lot of upswing, downswing on the chest when you really want to be going for the head. And I don't know, the matchup just didn't really click with me very well. The issue is I kept putting it off to like get a better Charge Blade run. But I don't think I'm going to be revisiting this run, to be honest with you. I don't really have any interest in repeating the Charge Blade runs, and so I don't think I'm going to get like a much cleaner run. And besides, this will give you an opportunity to see sort of how things can go wrong a little bit better. Yeah, so for my Charge Blade matchup, I handle things a little bit differently to what's optimal. I'm going to like cone bait and stuff and like try and break the head as much as possible. I'm going to go for at least one horn break, and then after I get the horn break, and you can see I'm just buffing up and stuff. Yeah, after I get the horn break, I'm then gonna resort to the whole chest focusing type deal. You'll see it as we go later on. But yeah, so I was thinking, like, the fact is I'm probably not going to redo this run, so I could either post or not post. And like, while I'm bitching about not getting a sub 14-minute run or whatever, there are people who are struggling to beat it at all with Charge Blade. And so I thought, you know what, I might as well at least just post something, just so that anybody who is struggling with the fight can maybe see how I decided to handle it. So I don't really rage him until I've buffed up, which of course I mess up here. Yeah, the reason being I find it a little bit easier just to load up files and stuff before he goes into rage mode. And I'd like to have agi uptime and stuff without having to do all of the admin work of loading files. Yeah, the matchup's a little bit of a weird one, as I said. Hopefully it'll make sense. There isn't like a hugely powerful punish for the cone. My go-to has generally been sort of this. It's not too bad. Like, you get a decent amount of damage overall. It's just a little bit rough. You can see I'm running Evade Extender, and by the way, we'll talk about the setter at the end of this video. Yeah, you can see I'm running Evade Extender by the way I move and stuff. Yeah, at the end of the video, I'll talk about all the skills that I find useful for this matchup. We get a little bit of lucky cone RNG here, as is what happens when you position the way I tend to. Unfortunately, weren't really able to capitalize on it too much as I'm not running the evasion mantle at the moment. I think I forget here, I'm not 100% sure, or maybe I was using a different strategy. But yeah, the idea is to basically just stay in Savage Axe for as long as you can and sort of snipe the head wherever possible. Using I've done a video on how to bait cons effectively if you're interested in getting to grips with that a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what sort of commentary to give. It's, yeah... There are a few different openings you can do, but for these little bites, I tend to try and super armor through them and upswing, downswing. For the bigger bites, I'll roll, and then depending on where I'm positioned, I'll try and land a couple of regular hits. There's no double swinging or AEDs here. It's mostly just rolling and trying to upswing, downswing as much as possible wherever possible. The nice thing about Evade Extend is you don't need to sheath your weapon that frequently. You can keep it out, and if you aren't aware, by the way, the small bites don't do that much to you. So if you are in the middle of a move that has a decent amount of armor, like you can see I'm doing here, for example, you can just sort of spam up and down swing and it'll chip you down, but it won't like knock you out or anything. Okay, so we do have evasion mantle, fair enough. Yeah, like this is a decent amount of damage. It's just not as powerful as it would be to be at the chest, up swinging and down swinging. As always, I will use the Ballista to try and get another knockdown. You can see me there proccing Coalescence. I will use the roaming Ballista to get another knockdown, just to help contribute towards the head break. Because I'm not going for both head breaks or anything, I don't believe. Maybe I am. I can't quite remember. But because I don't think I'm going for both head breaks, it's not a huge deal if you. Oh. Well. Okay. No, I don't know what I'm doing here, to be honest with you. I think I messed it up by accident. I record these live, FYI, twitch.tv/consaway, and so there's a good chance I was just sort of talking to chat and I just forgot to put on my temporal mantle. It's not a big deal if you don't do the smoke bomb trick. You can still get all of that damage on the, you can still get all of that roaming ballista damage afterwards at some point. It'll be a little bit harder to guarantee the knockdown because aiming for the chest consistently can be a little bit difficult, but that's what the regular ballista bullets are there for, so it's not a huge deal. I guess the other thing is I want to probably use as much of my evasion mantle as possible, perhaps. While he is in the air, if you don't happen to knock it down via like, and you can see I'm just con baiting here, standing at mid range, and unfortunately I wasn't really facing the right direction there too. And to be honest with you, like I don't know this matchup well enough to say what the optimal punishes are. I'm kind of just pressing buttons, to be honest with you. Whenever he cons, just upswing, downswing, double swing, it's fine. Just try not to get caught by the puddle afterwards that he leaves. I don't believe I'm running Power Prolonger, however, I would definitely consider it. Power Prolonger can be really nice for this matchup just because, well, I mean, it's nice for all matchups, but because this isn't like one of those 3-minute hunts where Power Prolonger, you know, where you only need to recharge files once or whatever. Power Prolonger just is a really nice way to not have to spend a huge amount of time dealing with the admin work. It makes your shield last a lot longer, and of course when you're using Savage Axe, running out of shield is extremely tedious. It seems like I'm still focusing the head here. I'm not, I don't know, I wish I could tell you what I was doing. Oh, we still haven't gotten the first horn break, that's the reason, sorry. I thought we got the first horn break, I was under the impression. Still going for that first horn break. Of course, this is a lot of time wasting. If you've seen how the runners run Fatalis, you'll know that they focus the chest pretty much the entire time, oftentimes having to deal with blue flame mode. And so that is how I would recommend you do it. But of course, because I want the horn break to make final phases a little bit easier and more consistent, which I think is more appropriate for everybody watching as well. Going for that first horn break makes the final phase a huge amount easier, and so that's what I'm going for here. Now that the first horn break has been achieved, it's not really a huge deal whether or not I go for the face or the chest, and so especially during final phase, I will be liable to focus the chest a bit more. I wonder if I caught during this run. It's been a while since I recorded this run. I did the Charge Blade match fairly easily, and then I hated the matchup so much that I didn't like go back to revisit it and try and get a better run. Oh, okay. There you go, chat. We're going for the Ballista, the roaming Ballista. I should have given this a 1 Overwatch. I don't know. This is one of my more rambly videos. It's definitely the run I'm least proud of that I've done so far. And so I guess it gets the least amount of effort in terms of video editing. Fair enough. Okay, so he is only like 1 or 2 ballista bullets away now from toppling. And so one possibility would be to focus just regular damage during second phase where it's easier. And, excuse me. I completely forgot about this. One possibility would be to focus just whatever damage you can get in second phase when it's a little bit easier, and then save the ballista bullets for the third phase where you can knock him down, and it just means you have to deal with final phase a little bit less. The issue is final phase is actually kind of ideal for Charge Blade, or not ideal, but like it's a little bit better because the chest is such a big hit zone. It goes up by a fair ton, and it's such a more accessible hitbox that honestly, like, I'm more than happy to just burn it now to get it over and done with. I believe I'm rolling because I have lots of evade extender, and I was like really far away from reaching here. You can see I barely make it. I don't even know if I do make it. No, I do. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry if this commentary is a little bit rambly. There's I don't know, it's Savage Axe, you know. You upswing and you downswing, basically. There's not a huge amount to talk about. But I do think it's a fairly different playstyle from a lot of weapons. And you can see we've only gotten the 1 horn break so far compared to how we normally try to handle things. Smoke, why did I smoke bomb? I think that was just me trying out the smoke bomb I don't even know. Look, I have no clue what's going on, okay. Ah, here we go. Okay, so final phase, and possibly the first 2 phases as well, depending on how brave you're feeling. You're going to want to keep the chest tenderized. We want to tenderize the chest, not for the hit zone increase, but because of the 20 affinity from weakness exploit. I am using Fatalis gear on this run. Obviously, if you're struggling with the fight, you won't have access to that. Just use the previously meta stuff. Whatever. Oh, okay. I remember that happening. That was unfortunate. Yeah, just run whatever Charge Blade you feel like. Probably, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Light Break is pretty good for this, because the dragon hit zone, especially on the chest, is pretty garbage, and we are Savage Axing. So Light Break is a good roll, and it is impact file Charge Blade, so I'm sure Light Break is probably fine. I wouldn't recommend SAED spam against this thing unless you're in multiplayer. The thing about SAED spam is it requires such long openings. You can keep Fatalis fairly still, so you're not going to be, because it's such a large hitbox, you are probably going to land most of your files. But the issue is that, like, he can target you pretty much instantly from pretty much anywhere, depending on where you and he are positioned. Like his fireballs and his various lasers and puddles and stuff make it very difficult for you to safely SAED, in my opinion. And so Savage Axing is a much lower committal, commitment, so it's much more easy to pull off. Probably won't be tanking the Nova all that much this run, like we've talked about this in previous videos, but this might have been recorded before I even knew about that strat. And also, there's not a huge amount to do with Charge Blade when you do tank the Nova. I guess you could upswing, downswing the chest a few times, but it's not like a, you know, great sword where you could like line up a level 3 or anything like that. And so yeah, final phase is pretty much by the books. Use your binders and your Ballista and get whatever knockdowns you can, but otherwise you're mostly just upswing, downswinging the chest as much as possible. You want to be careful, like don't upswing, downswing too brain dead. You gotta try and be ready to iframe stuff. I mean, if you're playing similarly to me, you're probably only gonna have the one horn break, and so you are gonna be in one shot, or maybe not one shot range, but he does a lot of damage to you when you haven't broken both horns with some of these flame moves. Run guard up. I run guard up specifically to try and be able to shield the spinning tornado. Like there, for example, I tried to roll through it to get to the other side, but because I wasn't able to, it's completely viable to just, because I'm running a point of guard up, and you can meld the guard up decorations now, so there isn't really an excuse to not have them. Yeah, because I'm running guard up, I'm able to not get killed by that move, because that definitely would have killed me if I wasn't careful. Health augment with Savage Axe is always a little bit iffy. I'm not sure if you're aware by now, but the Savage Axe, the individual ticks can go first, and because of the 0.2 second cooldown on health augment, you can basically very frequently get yourself denied the big heal from the big axe move, which is a real shame, but what can you do, I suppose. It still adds up over time, and I don't know, you are welcome to like run more affinity or attack or whatever you feel like running, but I would still recommend running it overall. The cone is probably the only real safe option in terms of tenderizing with Charge Blade. Charge Blade has a really long tenderize animation, and so when it cones, tenderize the chest if it isn't already tenderized. Otherwise, even if the chest is tenderized and let's say the head isn't, the head is still a better thing to go for. The head is a 75 hit zone, whereas the chest is a 70 hit zone. And so generally speaking, you're going to want to go for even the lower affinity makes it so that that the head is a better opening. Plus, it's a little bit more accessible and easy and closer. Although, of course, your mileage may vary as it might with all moves. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to talk about. I've got a little bit of a headache, so I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit weird or if I'm not talking as much as I normally do. Yeah, a little bit of a headache and my throat's a little bit sore too. I think I might be coming down with a cold. This is like just such a rambly video. I'm just like shooting the shit. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else there is worth talking about. I might just, I don't know, I might just stop talking. Unfortunately, I ran out of Savage Axe, and so I needed to restock there. You will need to do that several times over the course of this hunt. This is one of those hunts where you'll have to do it like quite a few times because it's like 15 minutes or so. As I said, Power Prolonger can be quite helpful in that regard. Dragonator is up, so luckily we've got Fatalis in a fairly decent position. But I'm sure by now you know how to use the Dragonator on this thing. That was probably riskier than I should have, a bigger risk than I should have taken. Now, just keep in mind that the Dragonator opening is a lot shorter than a regular opening, so, you know, you can't just go to the head and do your full combo that you're used to doing, depending on, you know, what weapon you're playing. But, I mean, as is for me, you know, as it's been for the rest of the hunt, we're just going to go up to the chest and upswing, downswing it pretty much. And so we've gotten him to within 5% of his HP. You'll notice, again, during final phase, we don't bother cone baiting at all. It's just not worth it, in my opinion. You can stand at a slightly middling range and get cones and also triple fireballs to be more likely. And that can be a nice way to then run up to the chest and grab upswing, downswings. But he has quite a few more moves from those ranges that he likes to spam, and so I don't find it particularly useful. Although, of course, I'm not necessarily playing optimally. This is also another opening for Tenderize, the downwards breath. However, especially during final phase, it's not actually like safe. It doesn't last long enough for you to fully Tenderize. Even during the first phases, it's not really completely safe, given how long the Charge Blade Tenderize animation is. And there we go. Not too bad overall. Roughly 14.5 minute run. It's probably a minute slower than I would have hoped, but to be honest with you, like you know, a 10% difference it's fine. I think this is more than postable. yeah, I'll show you the decorations now one at a time, and then I will talk about the skills in a little bit more detail afterwards. So here are the skills. Not shown are the single point of guard and single point of guard up that are on the second page. And obviously the mantle skills. I have heavy artillery in the temporal mantle, as I've done in all of my runs so far. You've probably gotten used to that by now. Heavy artillery to get the extra roaming ballista damage. But yeah, aside from that, it's pretty standard. Charge blade fair. We've got capacity boost, obviously. You see, we aren't running protective polish. By running a few points of handicraft and then relying on true the Fatalis set bonus, true razor sharp, I found that the intervals that you get to sharpen, like between novas and stuff like that, are more than frequent enough for you to not dip into white for too long. And so 2 points of handicraft and true razor sharp is what I've been using. The 5 points of divine blessing are nice, although not 100% necessary. But yeah, otherwise it's just pretty standard skills. I was lying earlier when I said I wasn't running power prolonger. I am. This is a variant of my insect glaive set, I guess. If you are trying to run power prolonger 3, then the Escador arms alpha are really efficient. So do keep that in mind. But otherwise, it's just pretty standard defensive and offensive skills. You can see I'm running 3 points of evade extender. They make it much easier to dodge a lot of Fatalis moves, and so I would definitely recommend that for charge blade, especially when you're upswing, downswing spamming. But yeah, we're trying to get to 100 affinity, and we're trying to run as much DPS as possible on top of the aforementioned skills. Hopefully this covers everything. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm sorry the run wasn't like up to standards, but hopefully this is helpful regardless. Take it easy. Bye-bye.